What's going on, everyone? I'm just a typical, average American here today to react and learn about things Americans love about Norwegian people. Funny enough, this is something I've never gotten to hear about before. I've never really spoken to another American who has gone to Norway or lived in Norway and actually can have an opinion on what they think of Norwegian people and maybe how Norwegian people compare to Americans. And, well, in this case, what they love about Norwegians, which is sounds like a pretty good compliment. If they went and they just love the Norwegian people, I would not be surprised. But I'd like to hear more about this from Americans that I can kind of relate to their experience with Norwegian people. That sounds really, really interesting to me. So let's take a look. Things Americans love about Norwegians.
The Norwegian personality is very interesting compared to the American personality. They seem to be more to themselves and very reserved, but because of that, they have a very high level of respect for one another.
I've heard that before from other YouTube videos that Norwegians pretty much they keep to themselves. They're very respectful. But if you talk to one, they're polite and helpful and they will talk to you, but as a default, much more reserved than Americans who some Americans will really go out of their way to talk to you, even when you even when you don't want them to. It's kind of funny.
I do recall trying to make friends with some Norwegians, and at first it would generally be difficult. But once I finally got over that, those Norwegian friends became some of the most trustworthy and honest and loyal friends that I have, even to today.
Wow. Okay, so he's basically saying at first he thought Norwegians didn't like him. I think that's what he's saying. Because Americans are so used to people opening up quickly that when they try to be friends with Norwegians and they're a little more reserved and laid back, an American might interpret that as like, oh, they don't like me. They're not interested in talking to me or something like that. So that's funny. That's a good observation.
They very much value their friends
Hmm.
and their connections, and they do not want to mistake that or make any mistakes towards that person. And so they value their free time greatly.
Well, that's really cool that Norwegians take friends and relationships very seriously. A lot of Americans do, but some do not. So it's cool that as a culture, Norwegians do.
Which I think is very valuable. They use their free time very wisely in spending it with friends and family and loved ones, where I typically see American personalities being the workaholics or focusing too much on this or that, but they tend to focus on those things that are most important to them.
Hmm.
And their culture in general allows them to do that.
Yeah, I've heard about that. I've learned about that. Norwegians and their jobs and the people they work with, businesses value family time and letting employees be happy and have time off and decompress and be with their friends and family. The Norwegian society understands that that is important, whereas in America, businesses want you to work. They don't want you to take time off. They don't want you fooling around. They don't care if you're feeling a lot of fulfillment in your life or happiness at home. That is not their primary concern. Their concern is running their business and making a profit. So, but as Americans, we're kind of used to that. Unfortunately, we're kind of accustomed to that. So it's kind of unfortunate how that works.
People are all super nice, amazing people. They are so nice. The people that are really, like I said, they're so nice. They are outgoing, helpful. Like anytime, like I needed help with the language and I asked them, like someone there, they'll immediately help me. Virtually everyone under the age of probably 60 speaks fluent English.
That is insane. That is what I've observed as well. Norwegians are bilingual. That's insane. Americans only speak English. It is very rare to find an American who speaks another language. That is so cool and says so much about Norway that basically they've made it part of their culture to learn other languages, which is amazing.
They take English from their about first grade until they're done and in high school.
Wow.
All their TV and movies are not dubbed at all. It's all in English.
Man, I wish they did that in the United States. Just force us, make us learn another language when we are young. It's such an attribute. It is so valuable. But yeah, it feels like the older I get, the less likely it is that as an adult, I'm going to have the time or resources to learn a language and be any good at it. It's really something you want to learn at growing up, during your whole growing up period. That's so cool.
And they just have subtitles. When you get done eating, you have to say "Takk for maten." It's thank you for the food. It's considered really rude if you don't say it, and they eat with a fork and knife for everything. You always have to have a fork and knife in your hand, and that.
Huh. So Norway is just more civilized in general.
It's considered proper. So it's not like America where you just cut everything with the side of your fork. You cut it with a knife and have them both in your hands the whole time, and that's considered polite.
Yeah.
Christmas is a huge deal over there. Basically, until like 2 days before Christmas until New Year's, everything closes and stays closed. You just spend time with your family and eat and open presents, and it's considered like this great time. They open
Again, Norway understands being happy. Maybe that's the best way to put it. Norway understands we're humans, and it's important to be happy. Yeah, I'm jealous.
Grocery stores one day in the middle of that week, so everyone has to go and get their food for the next couple days, and you have to stock up before and then stock up in that mid-week opening. But none of the stores are open. Nothing's open. Every Sunday, actually, all year round, everything's closed. Like nothing's open on Sundays.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's like in America, people are fighting over who's going to work. Who's going to have to be the employee who works on New Year's Day or Christmas Eve shift. It's but we're used to it. It's kind of sad.
Norway.
For the most part, everything that I had to do, like interactions with Norwegians, are very positive. They're very smart people. They're very critical thinkers, I'd say, is probably the best way to describe them. Which is why, for the most part, like when we do the lessons and we'd commit them to things, they were very, cautious about it. They didn't want to just accept everything right away. They wanted to research it. They wanted to, think it over a lot, which I really liked.
Wow. Yeah, that's different than the United States. Most people are willing to just pretty much accept a lot of things as fact, not critically think. So, man, are Norwegians just taught differently as a culture to just think more, problem solve? Is that possibly a cultural thing as well? Pretty good.
It was great to think like, oh, hey, this means something to them. They're going to keep researching it and they want to think about it more. Other than that, like I said, they're very kind of, standoffish just a little bit, but it can be a very positive thing too. Like once you become friends with a Norwegian, they're the most open people in the world. And they're some of the most friendly people you can get out there too. For some odd reason, once you go out and once you hike, once you get into the mountains, they become the most open people in the world. We were out hiking for 1P day and we had our missionary name tags on and everything. We were obviously in just hiking clothes, but several people would just come up and just start talking to us and just ask us how.
That's the trick. That's the secret. Get a Norwegian hiking in the hills or mountains or fjords. Get them out into nature, and they'll be an open book. That's the secret.
Our day was going. They knew we were missionaries. They'd seen us in the streets before. But up in the mountains, for some reason, it's different, and they're willing to talk to us up there. Other than that, you get just very intelligent people. They're the best English speakers in the world amongst people who have English as a second language.
Wow. That's high praise. That's high praise.
Most of them, you'd think they were native speakers. You almost literally can't tell a difference. And so that makes it kind of hard to really just kind of earn their respect with you learning Norwegian, because they went from Norwegian to English and they learn it almost perfectly. So
Wow.
when you're learning Norwegian, like, you have to get pretty good. Like, they'll say that they're impressed, but unless you really get it down, they're not going to be that impressed.
Wow. No, I believe that. And it makes sense. When you're in an entire country full of people who have mastered English, and you're the American there, with your crappy, bad Norwegian, trying to speak Norwegian, you gotta earn the respect.
I don't know, they're just overall really cool people. I don't know, it very rarely happened that anyone was rude to us. I haven't heard a story of anyone, ever getting spit on or, getting cursed out or anything like that happening with Norwegians. They're very polite.
I'd hope
It's
so.
a very rich country, and so they have pretty much whatever they want. They have a lot of strong family values. Most people, even though in Norway it's cheaper just to live with a girlfriend, a lot of people will still get married and have families and raise kids. Even though the society would say, that's not really happening, it happens a lot still. I think they value, just close family relationships and other things like that.
What does he mean? It's cheaper to live with a girlfriend. Like, once you get married, there's taxes or something involved with marriage or something like that?
They value, just close family relationships and other things like that. Just time spent with family and friends, a lot more than they value money and everything else.
And one of the things I treasure most about going to Norway was the relationships that you make. Norwegians have that wall, and it's kind of hard to break down the wall.
That every single American here has said that. Norwegians have that barrier at first, and then they're the most loyal, trustworthy, friendly people you'll ever meet once you get to know them.
But once you break down that wall, there'll be your friend for life. And there's one lady in particular who, it was in my very first area, and she was our landlord, and we lived in her basement. And she would invite us up every night after we were planning to come in, have cake or give us some soda or things like that. And we'd go up there almost every other night after planning just to talk to her. And it was her and her husband, and I think they're probably in their 60s. So after 4 months of visiting her 3 or 4 times a week at nighttime, she quickly became, as she likes to call it, my Norwegian mom. And I treasure that relationship just because she's about as Norwegian as they come, and you can just feel how much she treasures our relationship and how much she appreciates who we are.
That's cool. That's very cool.
She treasures the relationship, and she's not the abnormal Norwegian. Every Norwegian is like that, where once you get on their good side and they trust you enough, and
Yeah, that is kind of its own thing, isn't it? Maybe Americans are, well, I was going to say too trusting, but also Americans have another problem where it sounds like Norwegians maybe are a little more skeptical, a little more hands-off, while they kind of analyze you as a person and whether you're deserving of this deep respect and loyalty that comes with a Norwegian friendship, because apparently they take it pretty seriously. We're like, okay, once they see that you're a good, decent person and worthy of friendship, then all the amazing stuff that comes along with that comes. But until then, it's kind of, you're not really deserving of that until you can show that you are, which I don't mind. I don't mind that. That's a really sort of an analytical approach to friendship and relationships, actually. Very Norwegian.
they'll do anything for you. And that's something that I really liked about Norway, is that the friendships are really important to each and every one of them.
Yeah.
If you're a Norwegian and you don't at least know how to ski,
Oh, no, we're done. Okay, we got another video trying to start. Okay, that was by Lifey. I liked that. Well, actually, I have to go back because we skipped ahead. Here we go. Lifey, I liked this video. There we go. The comments are just a bunch of people looking for Norwegian friends and wives and husbands now. It's funny. This was good. This was cool. listening to some Americans' experience in Norway. Very, very intimate experience, you could say, where the Americans here really expressed like profound admiration and gratitude for the people they met in Norway. And they really seem to understand the Norwegian culture and relationships and respect it and be like, these are great people. Which, I mean, that's kind of what I expected, but it's wonderful to hear as well. And there were some great details in here that taught me some things I didn't know about all this, which is great. This was extremely interesting. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like or leave a comment. And if you're interested in more videos like this, me reacting to Norway, Norwegian culture, stuff I've never seen before there, feel free to subscribe for more. And until then, thanks for watching, and see you next time.